Harold Ford Jr.'s private life has been the subject of speculation for quite some time, but one individual has stayed mum about it all. His wife finally speaks up after 16 years of quiet, providing new insight into their shared ordeal. Her revelation is significantly more intimate than the bombshell that was anticipated. What wisdom has she gained from her experiences, both good and bad? Come with us as we delve into her profound insights regarding the power of love, loyalty, and the bonds that unite us. To make sense of the man in the photo, Harold Ford Jr., before we get to the words of Harold Ford's wife. First, we should examine his upbringing and life before he became famous. Harold Eugene Ford Jr. came into this world in Memphis, Tennessee on May 11, 1970. An intricate web of family history, cultural legacy, and political ambition has always been a part of his life. As the eldest of 5 siblings, Harold Ford had to learn to navigate a world where politics was an integral part of every aspect of his life, not just at work. Harold E. Ford Sr., Harold's dad, was the first African American to represent Tennessee in the United States Congress, U.S. Congress. Just as her son had an influential father, his mother, Dorothy Bowles Ford, embodied the Ford family's commitment to community and duty. They instilled in their children the values of honesty, hard work, and community responsibility. On Horn Lake Road in South Memphis, a neighborhood teeming with African American culture, Harold spent his formative years. His grandpa had established a successful funeral parlor, and his father continued the family business. Both of his parents were well known in their community. Not only did it keep them afloat, but it also served as a hub for community events and support when times became tough. Public schools were Harold's first educational experience. It was there that he developed a passion for public speaking and leadership. His drive was evident at an early age. He did a radio ad for his father's congressional campaign when he was only 4 years old. His destiny was shaped by the passion that was kindled by this early involvement in politics. With age came a growing awareness of Harold of the political climate in which he lived. Along with his father, he was a regular attendee of political gatherings, including Congressional Black Caucus meetings. These events were formative because they deepened his understanding of governmental issues and put him in touch with influential people like Reverend Jesse Jackson and Representative Charles Rangel. Moving to Washington, D.C. with his family in 1979, when Harold was 9 years old, was a watershed moment in his life. Now that his father was well established in Congress, Harold found himself caught up in a world of political intrigue and promising opportunities. He went to St. Albans School, an Episcopal school that was famous for producing a number of the United States' most famous families. Harold participated in a wide variety of extracurricular activities and excelled academically while at St. Albans. Several of his students went on to achieve great success in their respective disciplines, and he maintained strong relationships with them. Academically, he was challenged and his leadership skills were honed by the rigorous school curriculum. Harold Ford Jr. was up in a political household and was never far from the action on Capitol Hill. But he didn't start to carve out his own niche until he was a freshman in college and a sophomore in high school. Although Harold excelled academically throughout his early youth, he battled with shyness. He overcame his timidity when he signed up for a theater class his senior year of high school. As his confidence grew, he discovered a calling to activism and public speaking, which would come to define who he was. It was a watershed event for Harold and his family when he graduated from St. Albans in 1988. He completed his education at Penn, where he majored in American history. His experience as a leader flourished at Penn when he co-founded The Vision, a student newspaper for African Americans that advocated for the rights of marginalized students. Harold's parents encouraged him to be active and helpful in his neighborhood. His father's tenure in Congress taught him the importance of advocating on behalf of marginalized groups and the significance of lobbying. As Harold forged out on his own, he bore a heavy load from this inheritance. Harold went back to Tennessee in 1992 to manage his father's re-election campaign, having finished his bachelor's degree the previous year. This demonstrated his unwavering commitment to serving the people even more. He went on to serve as a special assistant on the Clinton-Gore transition team and brainstormed ways for urban areas to bounce back economically after civil unrest following this meeting. After earning his law degree from the University of Michigan School of Law in 1996, Harold was prepared to launch his own political career. He knew firsthand the potential good that dedicated public servants may do for their communities through thick and thin. While preparing to follow in his father's political footsteps, he had to strike a balance between continuing the family heritage and developing his own unique character. Despite the growing pressure, his will to achieve remained unwavering. Harold Ford Jr. followed in his political family's footsteps. "I set out on an adventure through the maze that is Washington." But how did he forge his own route to fame and fortune? Ford rose to prominence at an early age and was recognized as a promising Democratic Party star. It wasn't hard for him because he came from a politically connected family. His tenure in Congress, which culminated in a tight Senate campaign, laid the groundwork for his transition to the private sector, which would transform his profession and public perception. After being elected to the United States Senate in 1996, Ford's actual political career began. House of Representatives, serving Tennessee's 9th Congressional District. He became the first African American to succeed a parent in office and one of the youngest U.S. senators at the age of 26, making history. Harold Ford Sr., his father, had served for almost a decade in public service. There were benefits and drawbacks to this heritage. It gave him a platform and made him famous, but it also made him prove he could do more than just live up to his family's name. During his time in government from 1997 to 2007, Ford gained a reputation as a moderate voice within the Democratic Party. His ability to strike up conversations with anybody was legendary, and he regularly reiterated the importance of teamwork for effective leadership. His magnetic personality and articulate delivery garnered him the admiration of his contemporaries and journalists across. Bill Clinton famously described Ford as the walking, living embodiment of where America ought to go in the 21st century, highlighting his potential as a uniting leader. Education, healthcare, and economic growth were Ford's top legislative priorities. Efforts to enhance public education in Memphis were among his priorities, and he advocated for increased funding and resources for schools. He was well aware that empowering future generations would require ending the cycle of poverty via education. He visited around 100 schools during his first campaign, demonstrating his dedication to education and his desire to understand the needs of his people. Along with education, healthcare was another area that Ford advocated for reform. He took action to enhance quality and expand coverage because he understood many families were struggling to buy health insurance. Those who backed him were pleased by the fact that he made an impact by concentrating on issues close to their hearts. As a politician, Ford was highly pragmatic, and he frequently sought out areas of agreement with Republicans on crucial issues. He was able to navigate the complex politics of Washington, D.C., because to his reputation as a centrist who was open to working with others. However, this also caused friction within his party, particularly among the more liberal members who felt he occasionally compromised too much. Ford made the courageous decision to run for president instead of seeking re-election to the House in 2006. Senate seat that Senator Bill Frist was vacating upon his retirement. This was a bold and perhaps disastrous step as it pitted him against prominent politicians and necessitated him to address people across Tennessee, not only in Memphis. The campaign was a difficult time for Ford. The political climate in Tennessee was shifting, and he encountered stiff opposition from Republican candidate Bob Corker. Ford lost by a razor-thin margin of 3%, despite a robust campaign marked by engaging discussions and vigorous grassroots efforts. Despite the disappointment, Ford's position within the Democratic Party and his plans for future political engagement remained unaffected. In light of his young age, he was 36 years old, and the traditionally conservative nature of Tennessee politics, several observers remarked on his impressive performance. The pivotal moment that would propel Harold Ford Jr. from politics into the high-stakes realm of finance came after 10 years in Congress and a tight battle for the Senate. Ford had to make a big choice about his career after his Senate campaign. He could have immediately ran for office or returned to Congress, but he chose to work in the private sector instead, despite his continued prominence within the Democratic Party. Merrill Lynch promoted him to vice chairman in 2007, giving him the opportunity to put his extensive network and understanding of public policy to work in the financial industry. His many connections and expertise in both politics and finance made his transition from one field to the other seem like a logical next step. While employed at Merrill Lynch, Ford was responsible for providing customers with financial strategy advice and engaging in discussions on economic policy and its implications for businesses. His unusual viewpoint, informed by his experiences in both politics and law, struck a chord with those in corporate America. During his tenure in Congress, he honed his ability to articulate complex financial concepts in a way that everyone could understand. Along with his career in corporate America, Ford began to gain notoriety as a media analyst. He was a frequent guest on major news networks including MSNBC and CNBC, where he offered his opinions on current events and political trends. He gained credibility as an expert on policy and financial matters because of his lucid analysis. Staying at the forefront of national political discussions and expanding his influence outside traditional political arenas were both aided by Ford's media presence. He spoke about economic issues and advocated for bipartisanship, which had been his guiding principle throughout his entire career. Harold Ford Jr.'s political career had a lasting impact on politics in Tennessee and beyond. He was able to manage complex issues while remaining responsive to the needs of his constituents because he exhibited both ambition and pragmatism during his time in Congress. Others view his transition into finance as a progression, a method for him to continue influencing policy discussions outside of traditional political processes, while others see it as a total departure from politics. In a dynamic landscape where public service meets business enterprise, his adaptability has kept him relevant. Emily Threlkeld, Harold Ford Jr.'s wife, remained a mystery while his profession took center stage. The woman who has been there for him silently the whole while is finally going to get her due. When Harold Ford Jr. quit a successful political career to pursue a career in business, his life took a dramatic turn. During this period of transition, he crossed paths with Emily Threlkeld, a lady whose life story would counteract his and influence their shared experiences. New York City, a bustling metropolis where dreams and ambitions converge, is where they unexpectedly crossed paths. The fashion industry had always piqued Emily's interest, and she was already making strides in her chosen profession. Naples, Florida, was her childhood home. She was born there on January 2nd, 1981. As a child growing up in this picturesque seaside town, she developed an early passion for clothing design. Even as a little girl, she had a passion for art and a strong work ethic. The University of Miami was her chosen place of higher learning. She gained valuable knowledge in business and marketing there that she could use to her future endeavors. Emily moved to New York City to pursue a career in fashion after finishing college. For someone with her ambitions and abilities, the city offered countless chances. She quickly found herself working for many fashion businesses, where she gained invaluable industry experience. Harold and Emily happened to cross paths at a New Orleans wedding, which was their first chance encounter. From the very first minute they met, their connection was electric. Both were driven by their careers and the desire to succeed, but they also had a strong sense of community and family. Not only was Emily stunning, but Harold was captivated by her intelligence and enthusiasm for her work. Harold had an endearing personality and a strong desire to serve the public, qualities that Emily really admired. There was a natural progression to their relationship as they supported one another through the stresses of their careers. As their romance blossomed, Harold and Emily faced the difficulty of managing their personal lives alongside their highly known jobs. The unusual interaction that resulted from Harold's political and financial background and Emily's fashion passion was a product of their shared awareness of the demands of their separate fields. Going to events that celebrated businesses she was a fan of or showcased her creations was a regular part of Emily's job. In contrast, Harold continued to engage with political comments on cable news networks while remaining at Merrill Lynch. They found joy among the hustle and bustle of city life and learnt to navigate their busy schedules together. They became closer as a result of their shared commitment to volunteering. They frequently engaged in acts of charity that were consistent with their values because they both felt a strong need to give back. They were all motivated by a common goal of making the world a better place, whether it was through educational initiatives or social justice causes. Harold felt it was time to move on from their 4-year dating relationship. He clearly cares for them both since his proposal was lovely. The amount of tenderness and passion was just perfect for their love tale. In 2007, Harold proposed to Emily on a picturesque spring day. It was crucial to them, so they picked a peaceful area overlooking the Hudson River. While they were out in the beautiful outdoors, he told her how he felt and that he wanted to spend the rest of her life with her, sharing all of her dreams and hopes. Emily immediately agreed. Her heart swelled with joy at the prospect of spending her life with a soulmate who shared her beliefs and aspirations. It wasn't just two people getting together. It was the meeting of two dynamic worlds, politics and style. Their future together would be enriched by the distinct personalities of each member. Trinity Cathedral in Miami, Florida, was the site of the elegant ceremony on April 26, 2008. Members of the family, close friends, and prominent figures from the worlds of politics and fashion were all present for the celebration. In addition to celebrating their marriage, their loved ones came together to commemorate the joining of two active lives committed to supporting one another's goals. A lavish reception was the next stop after the ceremony. Harold went on to achieve great success at Merrill Lynch and gain widespread acclaim as a media pundit for MSNBC and subsequently Fox News Channel. Emily remained resolute in her pursuit of fashion industry advancement. The fact that she was married to a well-known celebrity didn't stop her from tirelessly pursuing creative endeavors. The newlyweds adapted to married life with ease. Maintaining a healthy work-life balance was important to them, as was hosting house parties where people from all walks of life could mingle. Their wide range of interests meant that politics, art, and society were all fair game in their house. They began a family and brought up 2 children together, connecting deeply despite the public's fixation on Harold's political history. As they resolved issues side by side, they fostered an environment of unconditional love and support for one another's aspirations. Harold Ford Jr. has had a wild journey through the worlds of public life, politics, and money. Although he gained fame when still a young congressman, and again while running for the Senate, his path has not been devoid of controversy. In 2017, he was embroiled in a major scandal that ultimately led to his firing from Morgan Stanley, a worldwide financial services firm that provides investment banking, securities, wealth management, and investment management among its many offerings. Morgan Stanley is a world-renowned financial organization that has grown from its humble beginnings in 1935 to become a leading player in a wide range of investing and finance markets. Both his profession and public perception were profoundly affected by this period of his life, which challenged his perseverance. In 2017, surprising claims appeared, damaging Harold Ford Jr.'s immaculate reputation. But was this public individual actually responsible, or was it just a misunderstanding? After leaving Congress in 2007, Ford joined the private sector and took the position of managing director at Morgan Stanley. Oversight of major client relationships, project leadership, and strategic direction setting were all part of Ford's responsibilities as managing director. Because of his political connections and extensive network, he rose rapidly through the ranks of investment banking and became a household name. His other claim to fame was his time spent discussing politics and current events on MSNBC, where he became a household name. But when allegations of malfeasance surfaced in December 2017, the whole situation shifted. Many years ago, at a business conference in New York City, a female reporter claimed that Ford done something improper. The accusations included acts of physical aggression, threats of bodily harm, and harassment. She made several disturbing claims, including that Ford had physically attacked her and persisted in calling her after she told him to stop. The charges swiftly generated a great deal of controversy. Morgan Stanley terminated Ford's employment due to the company's policy violations. People in many sectors were giving more serious consideration to workplace wrongdoing when the bank made its decision. This was made possible by the Me Too movement, which gained momentum during 2017. Ford took to social media to vehemently deny the accusations and assert his innocence. "This was completely untrue," he tweeted. "I have never forcibly grabbed any woman or man in my life." His adamant denial demonstrated his resolve to clear his name and maintain his stellar reputation, despite the increased scrutiny he was receiving. As news of the allegations circulated, MSNBC announced that Ford would not be appearing on any of its programs throughout the investigation. This decision demonstrated the gravity with which news organizations were treating such allegations at this delicate juncture. On Morning Joe, co-host Mika Brzezinski brought attention to the crisis by revealing Ford's suspension. Rumor has it that MSNBC and Morgan Stanley both investigated. There were whispers that Ford had gotten warnings about his spending account and other improper behavior in the past, but the specifics of the internal probes were kept secret. People were curious about his conduct after receiving this advance notice, which may have influenced the decisions taken by both groups. Ford stated his intention to sue Morgan Stanley and the lady who had accused him after the allegations and his dismissal from the bank. He suffered harm to his professional and personal life as a result of the false claims, according to his counsel. According to Ford's attorney, Morgan Stanley failed to provide sufficient justification for Ford's dismissal, leading to the impression that the decision was motivated more by expediency at a delicate moment than by actual misconduct. Ford's determination to defend himself from what he perceived as baseless allegations demonstrated his resilience and strength. Morgan Stanley and MSNBC, in his opinion, were acting hastily without fully considering all of the facts, and this made him very angry. The assertions elicited a wide spectrum of responses. A small group of Ford supporters stood beside him, praising his long history of community service and advocacy for social justice. A single episode, they said, shouldn't overshadow years of public service that sought to better the lives of people in Tennessee and beyond. People who were against the idea said that false charges may hurt someone's image, especially in politics where people's views matter a lot. It became very evident how intricate accusations of misconduct may be. One must take them seriously while yet ensuring that individuals accused are afforded due process. The media paid close attention to the Ford case, which brought attention to larger social conversations about power relations, harassment, and responsibility in several fields. The charges were covered widely by major news sites, highlighting their impact on Ford's career. The #MeToo movement is still relevant in today's conversation. The circumstances surrounding Ford's case are comparable to those of other well-known people who are also facing comparable accusations at the same time, such Matt Lauer and Mark Halperin, who were both fired as a result of allegations of wrongdoing. This contrast shed light on how quickly public standards about acceptable behavior in the workplace have changed in response to discussions about respect and responsibility, showing how quickly attitudes have evolved. Ford had to handle major issues at work and at home while the investigations progressed. His family life took a hit as a result of the stress caused by these incidents. Despite this, he could always count on his wife, Emily Threlkeld, to be at his side. Emily chose to remain hidden from public view while secretly supporting Harold, despite the fact that her husband's issues thrust her into the limelight. In the midst of this difficult period, she continued to think that Harold was innocent, according to many who know the couple well. The media's attention started to fade after the initial reports of the allegations. While publicly denying the allegations, Ford proceeded to revive his career. He expressed his optimism that the jury would find him innocent when more information about his dismissal from Morgan Stanley became available. For celebrities like Harold Ford Jr., who have gained immense fame but nonetheless find themselves in the middle of a scandal, this time in his life exemplifies how quickly public opinion can change. Despite the fact that others may simply see wrongdoing or scandal, these events teach us important lessons about perseverance and coming out on top, particularly when we face formidable challenges on the road to redemption. In the end, Harold Ford Jr.'s tale is a good reminder that people need to be responsible for their actions in the workplace, and that responsibility in modern organizations has both personal and societal consequences. Additionally, it revives previous debates on the need of treating everyone with dignity and respect, irrespective of their position or title. Having competent help and the unwavering support of loved ones who are there for you through thick and thin is obviously necessary for navigating the difficult parts of public life. He has not yet fully recovered from the catastrophe and is still trying to restore his career and reputation. In an abrupt comeback to politics following a scandal-plagued career, Harold Ford Jr. was a political commentator on Fox News, where his centrist ideas garnered renewed interest. Despite all that happened, Harold Ford Jr. has had a fantastic career in politics, the financial sector, and the media. His transition to Fox News was a turning point in his career, providing him with a fresh platform to showcase his oratory skills and political acumen. Ford is a well-known commentator and also has significant positions in the financial sector, which speaks to his versatility and persistence. He wisely decided to join Fox News, a major player in American media, in 2020. Some were startled by this shift because of Ford's history of supporting leftist causes. Ford rose to prominence on Fox News due to his ability to skillfully address complex political problems and his clear insight. Working as a political analyst allowed him to share his thoughts on current events by drawing on his deep understanding of the legislative branch. Regularly appearing on shows like The Five, he got into passionate debates over controversial national topics. Being a former congressman with understanding of the legislative process gives Ford a different viewpoint that sets him apart from many other political commentators. His tenure in the 9th Congressional District of Tennessee provided him with invaluable insight into the inner workings of government, elevating the weight of his ideas in debates over policy and leadership. Because of his skill in mediating disputes amongst politicians, Ford is a sought-after expert. His center-left stance will appeal to viewers with varying political opinions. This strategy not only improves the quality of debate on Fox News, but it also shows that he still believes in bipartisanship, something he was adamant about while he was a senator. Harold Ford Jr. is a multi-talented individual who has assumed substantial roles in the finance industry and Fox News. His role at PNC Bank began in December 2020, and he is now the Vice Chairman of Institutional and Corporate Banking, C&IB. He is well equipped to back the bank's expansion strategies because to his background in both public policy and finance. Ford is responsible for developing new business prospects and cultivating connections with clients across several sectors at PNC. He has a unique ability to comprehend company needs and find his way through legal issues because to his background in both politics and business. During his time at the helm, PNC became much more visible in highly competitive areas such as New York City. To further establish his position inside the firm, Ford was appointed to the role of regional president for the New York branch of PNC Bank in January 2023. He oversees operations and cultivates connections with customers and nonprofits as part of PNC's mission to be a community leader. Recent reports indicate that Ford Jr.'s net worth is $5 million. This sum shows not just his profits while serving in Congress, but also his achievements after leaving public service and becoming a TV commentator. Civic participation and community involvement, together with Ford's professional successes, remain his top priorities. Several groups, like the Posse Foundation and the Lincoln Center, which aim to support arts education and underrepresented students in higher education, have him on their boards. Participation in these organizations by Ford demonstrates his desire to make a positive impact on his community. Guidance and empowerment are two of his most frequently mentioned topics. These are principles that he has held dear since his youth in Memphis. Harold Ford Jr. continues to have considerable influence in the media and banking sectors, thanks to his success at PNC Bank and Fox News. He was able to make a smooth transition from one place to another while staying true to his principles of community service and engagement. As he takes on additional tasks as a political analyst and maintains his position as regional president at PNC Bank, Ford seems to have a bright future. His narrative is a testament to perseverance. It skillfully blends elements of politics, money, media criticism, and community participation, demonstrating how adaptability can pave the way for personal achievement and meaningful societal change. And that concludes it. Post your thoughts about Harold Ford Jr. below. Thank you for subscribing, like, and sharing. And if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and click the next one.